Hey, I'm Amy Chang. I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, and this is Healthy AF. In this podcast, I'll be bringing you all things health, from the newest health strategies to how to tackle those personal roadblocks that just will not let you move forward. So buckle in. We're going to be inspired and instructed, and dadgum, we're going to have a little fun on Healthy AF. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Healthy AF. As you know, August is Physical Environment Month, and we're looking at all the things in our physical environment that affect our health and what way they affect our health. And today, I have a special guest on. I'm so super excited. Actually, she's a sister of a friend who kept telling me, like, y'all got to meet. And finally, we met and sat and chatted for a couple hours. And I was like, my God, this could go on for much longer than this. Let's do a podcast and welcome Beth Blair, who's going to tell us about Feng Shui. Hey, Beth.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
I felt like when I met you, I was meeting a sister from another mama and a mister, just looking at you in the mirror too, like there's a little bit of maybe Southern similarity. I don't know.
Yeah, with the curly hair and the tiny eyes, we could have been kin sitting there chatting. Yeah,
That's
for
right.
sure.
That's right.
For sure. Beth, as I told you in the coffee shop, I really am interested in, well, for one thing, as I've gone through my own health journey and helped other people with their health journeys, I've gotten more and more interested in energy work. And particularly how that shows up in our home. And I wanted to know more about Feng Shui, and I don't even know where to start. So if you can just take us through, how'd you get into energy for people who don't know what is energy? And like,
what the what?
What the what? And is it voodoo? And what are we talking about? Can you just start us on like Feng Shui Energy Primer 101?
Okay, so everything has energy, right? Like that's basic elementary science class, remember, And the thing about energy is that it can't be created or destroyed. It just changes form, okay? So energy practice, metaphysical healing practice kind of thing, is just changing up the energy. So when you have a pain or, illness, or you're trying to create something and you have a block would be like the idea, like you just can't move through that. Those are the things that you want to bring in an energy therapy for. Like, I want to improve my health. I have a pain in my elbow. Well, it's related to a block of some sort, the flow of energy, right? Because in the person, you have energy that flows through you. Same with space. Now, that might be getting a little too heady, right? Because I always jump right into the deep end of the pool. But basically, it's about harmony and balance, okay? To have something work most optimal, you want to have balance, flow, harmony, okay? So energy practices or therapies are the way of bringing back in harmony. Now, there are tools that you can use and that kind of thing. So to back up to how did I get into this? I got into this through my own healing journey. So I hurt my back when I was much younger. I was too young to have a back problem. And I went in search of healing, okay? And all the conventional medicine therapies weren't helping me. So I stumbled into a Tai Chi class, which is moving the energy in your body. And I was healed 100%, full range of motion, all that kind of stuff within a year. Now, had I hopped really into it and done it every day, I could have been healed probably a lot quicker. But I was going one time a week for an hour, and that was it. And in a year's time, I was more better. Let's say I was, I was good. So, okay, that tripped my trigger of what is this energy thing? Is it, like you said, is it voodoo? No, it's not. It's about changing the flow of something. So that brought me into healing touch, which is a health modality created through the nursing programs. A woman by the name of Janet Medkin developed that, and she really brought different therapies together. But that wasn't enough for me. It's like, okay, I'm not going to become a nurse. How am I going to get the license to touch? Because that was a touch therapy. So I went to massage school. Okay. And then from massage school, I'm going to fast track it to the Feng Shui, because that we're going to talk about environment. So COVID happened. I went to massage school, got my license, was doing all these things, was using healing touch and Reiki, which is another
Can
touch
I ask
therapy.
you right there, what's the difference between Reiki and healing touch?
The method of teaching it,
So they're super
they're
close.
close. They're super close. So in the traditional style of Reiki, which is much older than healing touch, there is a lineage, and so it's from the Japanese culture, and so it's passed from master to student. And so there is what's called an attunement process. So you are actually given the Reiki energy. So you have to attune to the source energy of Reiki in order to do it. Healing touch, it's a method of learning different techniques and feeling the flow of energy. There is not an attunement process. Okay. So fast forward, I was having a wonderful massage practice, and then COVID happened, right? So COVID changed a lot of people's lives. Well, it made me study Feng Shui, which is an energy practice of environment. Okay. That's like the simplest way to talk about it. The culture is that you would pick the placement of your home based on the energy of the land. And the primary reason to do Feng Shui back in the day was to where you were going to honor your ancestors by where are you going to bury them? What land were you going to put them in? And they had to have a good view, okay? Auspicious, really. Okay.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a very practical, actually. That's a really practical way to think, which is great, because I think whenever I get looking at discussing energy work, and again, my background was as a acute care, critical care nurse practitioner, all evidence based. You know how many hours and hours and hours and many, many, many miserable thoughts I spent reading all those nursing research studies and learning how to put those into my practice, what kind of patient I could use it with, which one I couldn't, like all of the frontal lobe think stuff. And then we start talking about there's energy and it flows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's the multivariate analysis? And where's the big studies? And there aren't any. And so it's kind of cool to hear when we really go back on energy that it had a practical beginning.
Oh, it totally had practical.
I feel like it makes my science part of me feel really calm. No, it was practical. It wasn't just woo woo out of the sky, Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that you would pick your placement of your house first in mind, thinking about where you were going to bury your ancestors, with the nicest view for them to honor them, which makes a lot of sense, actually.
Okay, but now I'm going to trip you up a little bit.
Okay, all right, okay. Go for
it. See, not all parcels of land have somebody's got to have a bad view, right? Somebody's going to be parked behind a tree, or somebody's going to have, the rest stop down the road, or maybe the, potty is right down the road. So then there's what's in feng shui is what's called remedies. There is always a remedy. There is always a remedy to bring something back into balance. Like, how do you redirect the energy to either slow it down or pick it up? Like, if you think about somebody living on a cul-de-sac, right? So the back of the cul-de-sac is rounded. If your house is placed right at the mouth of the street, you're going to have all that energy flowing right into your front door. Okay, that is not necessarily a positive thing. Well, what are you going to do about that? How could you remedy that? So you slow the energy down that's coming into your front door. You see what I mean? So you would put, maybe a fence, or maybe a statue, or wind chimes are popular for a remedy because it slows down. It changes the energy. It creates a vibration that is peaceful and, it like a nice sounding wind chime. Now, here in North Carolina during a hurricane, you take down your wind chimes because they don't sound too great, right? But you think about like a soft, gentle wind chime, okay?
Well, that makes me feel a lot better, because there are some things that I've kind of dabbled in, and I'm like, well, there's no other place to put my bed. Like, or I mean,
Yeah.
and like, what do you do when there's no other place to put your bed and you want the good energy flow, but like, really, it's one wall. So,
right.
Well, good. So there's remedies to be made.
There's remedies. And I know we are definitely related, because like we're down the road before we get the training wheels off here for your listeners. So I'm going to back up for a minute and say, the idea, like I said, was, the actual words feng shui translate to wind and water. Okay. Wind and water. Now, you don't want too much wind, right? Living here at the coast, we know all about too much wind, but you don't want it stale either. You don't want the wind to stop. So think about what happens.
The bugs bite when there's no breeze.
That's right. The bugs bite, you can't breathe, that kind of thing. If you have too much wind, you have a storm. Same with water. You want the water flowing. You don't want it stagnant, right? Because that makes icky things grow, and the bugs, the mosquitoes breed.
Yep.
Exactly. Okay, so if you hold that image in your mind about wind and water, that you want that perfect balance of both, then feng shui is going to be easy for you. Because does this feel too much? Does it feel too little when you're going into a space? Okay, so that's basic. That's simple. We can layer it up a little bit by talking about the thing that's called the bagua. Okay, so a bagua is a compass that a feng shui practitioner uses to tell you about the areas of the land or the areas of your home, or even you can just apply it to a room. You could apply the feng shui compass to your desktop so that you have good working space on your desktop. So see, like, it can be this big or it can be this big, like all things way out here, or it can be just that little bit of space.
Good, because my daughter looks at my desktop and she's like, oh my God, Mom. The sentence starts, oh my God, Mom, you have so many tabs open. You have so many folders on you. How can you work like this? And I'm like, I just, it's working for me. Don't rock the boat.
It's working for you. Okay. So we're going to talk, I'm going to put you on the spot a minute, because we're going to talk about your bedroom. Okay. So typically speaking, actually probably not your bedroom, but I'm going to use your bedroom.
Oh, use it, man. There's nothing hiding in there. Second drawer of the bedside table is the only one that's kind of off limits, and everything else is good.
All right. So here we go. There are 9 areas of the bagua that we work with. And so
which is the compass. The bagua is the compass. Okay.
Okay. And to put it in a simpler diagram, we move it to a square or a cube because that lays over a plat of a house much easier. So the things that you think about, and think about as in from your coaching style, the topics that people have with you in a wellness world: wealth and prosperity, fame and reputation, relationships, the F word, family, health and the overall health. And then we're going to say children and creativity go together, and we'll get there in a minute. Knowledge, career, and then helpful people. Okay. So when we're looking at the placement of your home, the career sector is going to be at your front door. Okay. Huh?
I said, oh, I need to move that.
Okay. So if we're talking just basics about relationships, or, the topics that people come to you about, like relationships and money are probably the two top things. Career goes in there because of money, right? So if somebody says, I want a new relationship, and I say, well, tell me about your bedroom. And they say, well, my bed is pushed up against the wall, and I have one bedside table, and, I have an exercise piece of equipment in there, and I hang all my clothes over it. There is no space for another person in that room. If you don't have two bedside tables, if there's not room that you can walk around the bed on both sides, if there's not space in your closet, like, okay, I might have a lot of things in my closet, but is there any space for anyone else to share that closet with me? And if the answer is no, well, the energy is telling you that you don't have space for a relationship in your life.
Oh, I'm so happy. This single lady has some space. You can go all the way around my bed. There's two bedside tables, plenty of closet space. Oh, yay. Okay, great. Okay. Tell me more. So vice versa, if you do not want to have an intimate or romantic relationship, push that bed up against the wall.
That's exactly right. Yeah. What do you want the energy to do for you? Okay. Because where your thoughts go, energy flows. That is a basic energy practice. So if I am saying, I think of Natalie Wood in the original Miracle on 34th Street going, I believe. And she doesn't believe in Christmas. She doesn't believe in Santa Claus, but she's trying to talk herself into it. That doesn't work with energy. The energy goes where your intentions are. And so if your negative talk is going off and you want that relationship, you ain't getting it. You know what I mean?
I had a client that I've had for a few years, and I've known her for a while, have some breakthroughs. And she said to me recently, like, wow, I know this is going to shock you that I'm actually just now saying this to you. And I'm like, okay, what discovery have you made that I'm going to be shocked by? And she says, I really have a lot of negative self-talk about my body. And I just started laughing out loud. I'm like, yes, you do. But it's taken her like a decade and a half to get there. So what that looks like on the meantime is exercise programs are hard to stick. Nutrition programs are hard to stick. Sleeps, all the self-care, all the gratitude, all the things that happen when we love our bodies, they're hard for her to stick because that's, that underlying intention. And so it's taken a while, but to hear her say that was shifting, I was like, oh my God, what a win. And then, like you said, my brain goes 14 steps ahead. I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, what are her results going to begin to look like now that she has a different set point inside her thoughts and intentions and like her heart, really,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
I'm excited about that for her because, I mean, there are those that say, oh, fake it till you make it, like you can talk yourself into anything. Well, you can, but you're not necessarily going to get the results if that you really deserve if you truly appreciate yourself or really, want to create that magic in your house, right? In your home, in your life, in your career. I mean, if you think about like the other place where people want to talk, which would be career and wealth, okay? Your prosperity corner of your house from your front door is going to be the back left corner. Back left corner. Okay. So as facing in the door. So you're looking to the back left.
So you walk in
Okay.
your front door and you
You're
look to the
standing up.
back left.
You look to the back left. Okay. When people want to bring in money, wealth, prosperity, and that doesn't just mean cash. Okay. Wealth doesn't just mean that. That could be a dumping ground in their house where they're hoarding stuff and there is no room for anything else to come in. Okay. Why are you making that face, Amy? What is in your wealth corner?
Actually, the universe, this is why I don't look for research to back energy up anymore. I just watch it work, and I don't understand how it works. I just watch it work. So in the back left corner of my house is a round table that was my grandmother's, sat beside her rocking chair.
Okay.
And it's got a table lamp on it that was my dad's from his side. So I've got a mother's side and a dad's side. But most importantly, the first time I worked through the fourth step of the 12 steps of recovery, I gave up some character defects. And as I was giving up these character defects, I was by a creek and I would take this old leaf and write, like selfishness down. And I'd dump it in the creek and it would flow down that river. And I'd go and get a rock. And I wrote on those rocks what I got to pick up when I put down selfishness, like trust or relationships or belief in myself and in God, faith. So I have all those rocks laying on that table to remind me of what I get to pick up when I let go of shit that doesn't serve me anymore. And they've been there now for 2 years. And where I see my wealth has been right there on that table.
Right. And that's awesome. And I'm getting chills on that one. So,
That's why I couldn't even contain myself when you were talking. I was like, well, Amy, that is exactly what I've gotten. I've gotten a depth of closeness to nature, with all my rocks. And truth be told, I've got a seashell from a beach trip that a friend of mine went on with me. And I've got some of those acorn tops that can sit on your fingers. And I picked them up one day when I was walking. I was like, these are the coolest acorn tops. Not the little berets, but the toboggans.
Right.
And I was like, these are great.
The toboggan.
Yes, the toboggan acorn tops. And so I have some of those on there. And I have a little silver cross that said, God loves you, that my daddy always kept in his pocket. So that left back corner of my house is really a special spot.
Nice. Well, you know what's right in front of that left back corner? Like, so coming along that left side. So if you're thinking of the cube, okay, think of a cube. So you have a box in the back left corner, and then coming up one box is going to be your family and your ancestors. So they're right there too. So like the way I look at it, it can blend together. The area of support and on the negative side can draw, or build up or inhibit another area. That corner, your wealth and prosperity corner, feels supported by your family and your ancestors, right? So, and then the third box on that left side is going to be the knowledge, self cultivation and knowledge. And that sits right next to the career section on your, at your front door. Okay. So we've covered 4 boxes already just in the layout of the house. Uh, of course, the center of the house is going to be your health. Okay.
I've got my desk there. I need to move it, don't
Okay. Well, think about how that area as a place that energizes you. So if your work energizes you, if your desk, because like you're talking wellness all the time, right? If that's the work that you do there. And then next to your wealth and prosperity in the center back of your house is going to be your fame and your reputation. Okay.
I've got 3 sliding glass door, well, like 3 panel sliding glass door that looks out onto the green, the 11th green. And so I'm always like, oh my God, that was great. Like, wow, that tea stole it from you, didn't it? Man, that pen robbed you of that whole, and that's my window to so many people who go past my house. And being a solo practitioner at home, my desk is right there in the middle. And a lot of times I'll open up and look out that door. Who's playing? How are they standing? How are they hitting it? And they all know the cat because my cat's always, she's always out on the golf course. So that really is the way that in our neighborhood we're known. We're probably more known to our golfers, to some of the neighbors who live in our neighborhood. That's funny. Yeah. So that's your fame and reputation, huh?
Fame and reputation. Back right corner. Now, this doesn't have to be where your bedroom is, but the back right corner of the house is relationship and partnership. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I got nothing there.
Okay. Well, now here, I'm going to tell a tale on myself as you're laughing about that. You know what the back right corner of my house is right now? I'm renting here. It's the bathroom. Mm-hmm. It's the toilet. So, my relationship partnership stuff is in the toilet if I don't make a remedy.
There you go. We've got a remedy. Thank Jesus.
You got a remedy. Yes. Right. Exactly. Okay. So then the last 2 centers, children and creativity is right in front of the relationships, and it's right next to the center, the health. Okay. And so that area, it's not just about, children, but it's your creative idea. It's the place that you want to manifest your future and your retirement. Like, think about like building your story. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to need a remedy there too.
Okay. Well, for me, that area is actually my garage where my art studio is. So it ties in. My art studio is there. And then the front right corner next to the career center is going to be your helpful people. Okay. So this is not just people physically. This can be your guides, your mentors, teachers. It can be seen and unseen things, right? So we can pull in the angels and the saints into this category. Okay. And we could go down the rabbit hole on this cube for days. But, I want to talk a little bit about remedies and things like that.
Yeah, that would be great. And I have a question. So when I think about my little cube, my house is structured. So really, you walk in the front door and you're inside a great big room that basically has the dining room. I have a desk right in the middle. That's where I do my work. And then the living room. Right. Yeah. And then the bedrooms are kind of off to the side. And then I have one bonus room back here. So when I look at my cube, can I just it's the cube of that room?
Yeah. So you have options. You can do the cube of the house. Okay. And then you can take the cube and look at the cube in each room, because this is where you're leading the witness here, Amy, because this is where the remedies come in. Right. So I'm going to go back to the thing that a lot of people love to talk about, which is the relationships. Okay. If I want to adjust if it's like for me, the relationship is in the toilet, so to speak, right? I can apply the cube there to bring in some energy, and I can make that relationship section a smaller piece of that room. So I'm bringing in the 8 other areas of my life into that space to help nurture the relationship sector of the overall picture. Does that make sense?
I think, let me give it back to you. So
Okay.
if you have one area that isn't arranged optimally and you think might be stagnant in your life, you can take pieces of the positive areas of the other 8 areas of your life and sort of put them around that area to sort of like bolster it up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because we also work with the elements, right? So there's fire, water, earth, wood, and metal, 5 element theory in Chinese medicine that can bolster these areas too. So there are different layers. And like I said, we talked about the wind chimes, right? You can add mirrors are a good remedy to reflect what you want this area to reflect. That's one option. Plants are great. You mentioned your cat. Pets are a great remedy for stirring up the energy by your cat just going around the house.
What about pet hair? How about pet hair?
Well,
I can tell you there's a lot of pet hair in that right back corner of my house.
well, okay, so that comes to one of my favorite principles of Feng Shui, which is when you're looking to make a change, move 27 things. And it could be 27 pieces of pet hair if you want.
Yeah, that can be done like that.
It can be done like that. You referenced your computer and your daughter talking about your desktop. You could close 27 tabs on your computer. That changes the energy of your workspace. You see, by the time you move things around, that's the beauty of Feng Shui. By the time you move things around, you've created a different perspective and a different flow of energy.
Okay. So, and it's always 27. It's not like 3.
Well,
but 27 is the whole thing. Like you move 27 things.
By the time you move 27 things are going to look different. Okay. And again, it's one of these quirky little, what do I want to call it? There's a word that's just not coming to me, but it's an anecdotal thing, but it's 9 is a sacred number in Feng Shui. And so 27 adds to 9, 2 and 7 together add to 9. So it's a auspicious kind of thing. So by taking the practice seriously and moving 27 things, something's going to look different.
Well, and you know the Trinity. 3 is a powerful number too. So you've got 9 and 3 is 27.
Exactly.
Right? That's
exactly.
Right. Yeah. And then you got 2 and 7 is 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will say in that corner of my house, I have a like double table thing. It's metal and wood. And I have a plant, a real plant. So it's got dirt, and it was given to me by a friend in an especially challenging time. And I have a speaker for music. Does music come into this anywhere?
Well, sure it does. Sure it does. I mean, it's a frequency thing. Like you want to think about the type of music that you have. Does it create, what kind of movement does it create? Is it linear? Think about the sound of how music plays. Is it all over the place? Because that ties into different elements as well. Like you think about like nature sounds rolling through the home, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll probably need to. Like, what kind of movement does it miss?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, well,
The wake up and let's go movement most of the time. So
right,
may have to
right,
put some
exactly.
gentle nature sounds on sometimes just to bring it down.
Right,
So
right.
okay, good. So and you also said mirrors, and you said to reflect what you want. So if I put
Or,
or
go ahead.
I was going to say if I put a mirror up on this side of my right corner, which is my relationship corner, it
Yep,
would reflect all the spirituality and ancestry I have in my left corner. And that's
correct.
very strong for me. So that would be where I
That
want to
is.
place that. I don't want to shine it toward the front of my house because that's not as strong a spot for me. I want to shine it toward the stronger.
Yes. And see, the thing, like, I'll go back to that example we were giving about if you lived on a cul-de-sac and you were at the end of the street, okay? You don't want to place you don't want to place the mirror at the end. Like if you opened your front door, if you put the mirror at the end of the hallway, it would just reflect it all the way back, and the energy would just hit the mirror and go the other way. Sometimes what you want to create is the flow of energy so it would be perpendicular to, you know, so that it makes more circular motion of energy coming into the house, right? It slows it down by giving it a curve, okay? If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. So when you, if we were talking about the cul-de-sac house, when you walk
Yep,
in the front door, you might want to have a mirror on the side wall on the left or on the side
yes,
wall on the right, because
yep,
then it will help that energy swoosh instead of
yeah,
just like ping ponging back and forth through your house.
right,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. And like, seasonally, people change up the energy in their house by, opening windows and that kind of thing. Well, if you think about it, if you have, like, my house happens to be east west exposure, okay? So if I open my sliding door at the back of my house and I open up my front windows, I'm just getting wind going straight through my house. It's not stirring anything up, okay? So how do I affect that? Well, I do have a ceiling fan, so I can get that to create the swirl. Or I may, decide I'm going to open the back door just a little bit so that it's not this gush of, yeah, exactly. So there are things that you can do, like the change of seasons. I might want to air the house out. So, like, opening up all the windows and letting it just blow through. But then when I want to settle into the energy of the house, I'm going to regulate how the wind again comes through my house, if
Okay,
that
yeah,
makes sense.
I get that because if you open the back door, front door, some days it's
Mm-hmm.
very pleasant, but some days it's blowing all the stuff off the desk, papers are flying everywhere, and one of those doors ends up slamming shut.
Yeah. And that is not creating harmony.
No, it's not. There's no harmony in that. It's not a nice flowy thing.
Right.
Okay. All right, I can get down with that. So, is if you were to nutshell for people benefits of just investigating and toying with the energy in their home and maybe using feng shui as a tool to experiment, what might be
Okay.
the benefit for playing around with that?
Okay. This is the mic drop kind of thing. Your environment is a reflection of your inner landscape.
Okay, let's let that settle right there. Let's push the pause button. So your environment is the reflection of your inner landscape.
Mm-hmm.
I often tell clients, what's important to you. And they tell me, and it's always like my faith and my family and, fulfillment and blah, blah, blah. And I say, okay, look at your calendar. Do they match?
Right.
Because your calendar is showing you what is actually your priority. So that's a good one. When you look around your house, you're seeing an inside X-ray. Not what you think you're like, but, energetically what you're like.
Right. Now, for you and I...
upset by this? Because I know you work with people in their homes. Is it shocking to them?
Well, it is shocking. And then, there is a little little hiccup with that mic drop that I just gave you, because like, if you live alone, like I do, I only have 2 4-leggeds living with me. It's a clear picture of whose landscape it is, right? But if I'm cohabitating with people, family members, significant other, spouse, whatever and children, the landscape is going to look differently. And so to identify your landscape, if you cohabitate with people, you've got to look at a space that you're claiming for yourself. So again, apply the cube to your personal space and see what happens, and see if it's a true picture. Does it line up to, like you said, your calendar? Is it showing you the picture of what's important to you in your space? Or are you letting everyone else that you live with, their stuff pile on to your space, which affects your peace and harmony on the inside? If you're always putting these important people, I'm not dissing that they're not important, but you keep putting your stuff first and you're not taking care of your stuff, your landscape isn't going to look too good.
Yeah, it doesn't look like you. I mean,
right.
it looks like, exactly. When I was not as spiritually healthy as I am now, my calendar looked like everyone else, but there was no flavor of Amy Chang on it. She was just gone missing. Yeah, and so I really get that, you might not want to like throw out your toddler and tell them that they need you may not want to build them a room in the backyard or anything, but, having yourself represented somewhere, maybe in a private way, and having yourself at least showing up somewhere in the larger zone. I was just telling a friend of mine, we were talking about when I first started meditating. It was like, 14, 15 years ago. And when I started, I had a special place that I meditated, and it was in my closet, because I had organized it, and it had like labels on it, and it was just the way I wanted it to be. I had a Russian housekeeper at the time, so all the labels were both in Russian and in English. Everything had a place, and everything was in its place, and everything was organized. It felt like an oasis from the chaos storm of my life. And so I would go in there every day and look at all the shelves with the neatly hung up things and the labels, and I just, that was my space.
See, and you had harmony there because it felt like you, and it had that balance of fluid there, And
it really, historically, then when I downsized after my marriage ended, and really my bedroom was my bedroom, right? It was nobody else's but mine. My closet was that same way. Like everything was just held up. And then like I had the Avett Brother concert tickets hung up, and the drawings that the children had done were up on the walls of that closet. Like the really special things were in the walls of that closet. I had a mirror in there, and it was a sort of a space, and I loved going to my closet. Wow, this seems to be a common theme.
Well, it was sanctuary, like I look at it that way. It was sanctuary. It gives you, that place of recharge. And that's really the key. Like, let's go back to that original tenet of Feng Shui, which was to give your ancestors an auspicious place to rest, right? The final rest, but it was still rest. And so when you create something for yourself like that, a place where you can totally be, that's the icing on the cake for the Feng Shui practitioner. Now, here's the thing about Feng Shui that I absolutely love as being a practitioner of it, because when I was a massage therapist, and I am now retired, people would come to me for the energy therapy, and they would say, help me, fix me, this hurts, that hurts, what can you do for me? Okay. As a Feng Shui practitioner, I get to say, oh, here, let's record this or take some good notes, because I'm going to point out what you have to clean up for you. So will I help you clean it up? Yes, I will. However, you have to be an active role in it, because it is about your space and it mirrors your inner landscape.
It's like having your fingerprint. Nobody else can do your fingerprint for you.
Yeah.
They can help you put your finger on the thing, but they can't do your fingerprint for you. It's your fingerprint.
It is. It is. And isn't that life though? Like, your spiritual journey is your spiritual journey. I can't do it for you.
That is really, and we talked about this when we were coffeeing, why I love being a coach. I do not want to take charge of anybody else. I'm on the struggle bus just trying to control my own life. I sure as heck don't want to have to control yours. Your health, your body, your choices are all yours. And what a gift and a responsibility that we sometimes avoid. So I'm with you on that. But the reward from mining down deep into yourself and discovering your own landscape is far exceeds any rudimentary mapping sketch I could do of your landscape. Yeah. So, oh gosh, this is okay. So, it's about time to wrap. I want to know if you could tell people to assess one thing in their house, what would it be?
Oh, okay. Well, this is something that is easy. I want to give something easy. How many pairs of shoes do you have laying around your house? And are they all in the same place, or do they kind of get scattered around? Because that is an indication of if you're moving yourself in multiple directions.
Oh, okay. I love that. You are hitting the nail on the head. I don't know if this is divinely inspired or not, but my daughter always takes off her shoes when she comes in the house. So all of her shoes are on a rack in the front of the house. It makes me crazy. I don't like seeing them, but whatever. They're all there, and she's very focused. She's got one job. It's graduate from college and get into med school. And to, be pre-med, she's got to be very focused, and that's what she's doing. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, my shoes are like under my desk, and then they might be over at the orange chair if I'm watching the golfers or meditating, and then they might be over at the couch if I'm taking a break watching TV with my dog, and they're sort of like at my bed, but also in my closet. And that is really like I'm in 40 different directions.
Right.
Yeah. So, wow.
And if her shoes are in the front of the house, they might be in the career sector, which is pointing her in the direction that she wants to go. Okay. However, when you look at it from your perspective, there's someone else's career direction in your career sector too. Like, you have to look at shared space. How do I want to lay this out? Do I want to just say, it's okay, she can leave her shoes there, she's going in the direction she wants to go? I'm going to assess my career area maybe on the top of my desk, or maybe, in a different room of the house. I'm going to lay out the map, because I don't I don't want to change that juju that she's got going on. She's, the energy is working for her over there. So let me assess mine and let me get all my shoes together and put them in a different place.
Yes. Maybe I need to do a little, because half the time I'm like, where are my black flip-flops? It's always flip-flops, living at the coast. I'm loving open toes. So I'm like, where are my black flip-flops? Well, now where are my Birkenstocks? Where are the flip-flops I bought in Mexico? I can't find any of my flip-flops. And then I have to wear a closed-toed shoe. And I'm like, all beside myself.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
So maybe I could put a remedy in that area?
You could put an organizer, or you could just choose to collect and change the flow at a particular time of day.
I have one more question for you. So what we've done is we've talked about like what the benefits of Feng Shui are. And that's just like matching up your land. I find anytime you can align your internal landscape with the actions you're doing, the people you're hanging around with, the things you're incorporating in your life. So it's aligning that interior landscape and just the good, like frictionless living that happens with that. And the one quick tip is move 27 things and find your shoes. Right. I think my last question is, how hard is it to Feng Shui your house? Is this you have to do it all in one thing? Or if you could just bite off one chunk, is it room by room? Is it move 27 things? What's the first step?
It's a practice. Okay. It's a commitment. It's a relationship. It's a relationship to change. So if you ask me to come into your home and give you recommendations, we're going to prioritize them, because you're going to be overwhelmed with too many changes at once. And guess what? Chances are you're going to fail.
Yes, that's why I have a job. Because everybody does that. That's why, myself included, that's why I have a job.
Yeah, you're going to be overwhelmed, but it's a practice and it's a journey, and it's like your 12-step program that you mentioned. It's a process, and you circle back around to another, one of those steps, and you come back around. The energy changes based on relationships, based on events that you have at your house, based on changing jobs, your health and well-being changes. You add a new family member, you add a new pet, you change the color of your curtains. You know what I mean? There are so many things. It's not a one and done thing. Feng Shui is a practice, and it is a mindset, and it is all about flow. And I wish that I could say, let's just put everything where it goes and let's just leave it there. But at some point, you're going to need those Birkenstocks versus those
my black flip-flops. Yes. Yes. Because only my Birks can ride my bike well. The other flip-flops aren't stable enough to ride my bike.
Well, see, and that's, that would mess you up on the journey. So we don't want that.
Yes, so many things. Well, Beth, is there anything else we've missed or people have to know before we go?
Oh, honey, there is a mountain of stuff. But, this is a good place. This was a fun way to delve into it, because it gave a fun approach to it, just in the dialogue. So,
well, I really appreciate you being here. And honestly, I'm like mapping out my house in my head and already thinking of like what little remedy things I'm going to put and where. So I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge.
Amy, we could come back and do a check back with Amy to see how she cleaned up her effing Feng Shui stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I would love that. We could make the list. We can't tell all the secrets, but we can make the list.
Absolutely.
That would be great. Well, if you guys have gotten something from this, I hope you have. Like, share, subscribe to this podcast. And really, one thing I think my biggest takeaway from this is your internal landscape matters. You're important. And having a reflection of you is important. And we don't get it right all the time, but you can just give yourself some grace and just remap it. So we'll see you next time on Healthy AF.